The great space station hung like a shining jewel in the dark sky above the planet Zephyra. It was the heart of the Galactic Alliance, where leaders and warriors from many worlds came to learn, train, and prepare for the challenges of the universe. The station was huge and busy, filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some were tall and strong with thick scales and sharp claws. Others had many arms or glowing eyes. Among them all, humans were rare and often not taken seriously. Mira stepped off the shuttle with a small suitcase in her hand. She looked around with wide eyes. The station was more magnificent than she had ever imagined. High glass ceilings showed the stars beyond. Robots moved swiftly, carrying supplies and tools. Loud voices echoed in different languages, creating a constant buzz of activity. Mira was small and thin, with light brown hair pulled into a simple braid. She wore a clean but plain uniform that marked her as a new cadet. She could feel many eyes on her, the curious, the doubtful, and sometimes the mocking. She tried to hold her head high, but inside she felt nervous. This was the Apex Command Academy, the most respected military school in the galaxy. Only the best were allowed here, and here she was, just a fragile human girl. The first day was a whirlwind. Mira followed the other cadets through halls lined with glowing panels and large training rooms. She met some of her instructors, serious and strict but also wise. They explained the rules and showed the schedule. There would be physical training, combat simulations, strategy lessons, and teamwork exercises. The work would be hard. During the first training session, Mira stood among other cadets in the gym. She saw Zorkon, a tall reptilian warrior with muscles bigger than her entire body. He flexed easily, making the younger cadets whisper and stare. Then there was Luma, a graceful alien with shining wings who moved with the speed of light. She smiled at Mira, but with a hint of pity. When the instructors gave the first physical test, Mira tried her best. She ran, lifted weights, and climbed the walls of the obstacle course. But compared to the others, she was slow and weak. Her small arms could not hold heavy equipment as easily as Zorkon's claws. Her legs could not jump as far as Luma's. Wings allowed her to fly. Some cadets laughed quietly when Mira stumbled. "Look at the human, so fragile," one whispered. Another said, "She won't last a day here." The words stung, but Mira said nothing. She reminded herself why she was here. At lunch, Mira sat alone at a small table. She watched groups of cadets talking and joking, sharing stories about their planets and battles. She wanted to join, but the fear of being rejected held her back. Instead, she took out a small notebook and began to write. She was good at learning and planning. If she could not be the strongest, maybe she could be the smartest. In the afternoon, the cadets entered the strategy room. Giant holograms of star maps and battlefields appeared above the tables. The instructor explained that this was where commanders made decisions. "Strength alone does not win wars," he said. "Brains and courage do." Mira's heart lifted. This was her chance. She listened carefully as the instructor described different tactics. She asked questions and took notes faster than anyone. The others began to notice her sharp mind. One cadet, a tall, thin alien named Rek, sneered. "Brains won't save you when the enemy is at your door," he said loudly, trying to embarrass her. But Mira stayed calm. The days passed, and the teasing did not stop. Some cadets pushed her in the halls or hid her things. Still, Mira kept going. She woke up early to study star charts and alien history. She practiced her own small workouts, trying to grow stronger. She knew she had to prove herself, not with muscle, but with heart. One evening, Mira found a quiet corner in the library. She opened a dusty book about ancient battles fought by humans long ago. She read stories of great leaders who had changed history, not by strength but by clever plans and strong will. She smiled softly. Maybe she was not so fragile after all. As the first week ended, the instructors gave the cadets a challenge. A team exercise to plan a defense against a simulated attack. Teams were chosen by rank, and Mira was placed with older cadets who barely spoke to her. At first, her ideas were ignored. Then, when a plan failed, The team had no choice but to listen. Mira suggested a new tactic, one that used their small ships to move quickly and confuse the enemy. It was different from the usual brute force plans. Slowly, the team saw that her idea worked better than expected. They won the exercise. When the other cadets looked at Mira again, it was not with mockery but with surprise. She had earned their attention, if not yet their respect. That night, as Mira lay in her bunk staring at the stars outside her window, she thought about the long road ahead. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but also full of hope. She was only one small human girl, but she had something that no one could take away: her will to succeed. Tomorrow, the real training would begin. The morning sun spilled through the wide windows of the Apex Command Academy. The giant space station buzzed with energy as cadets prepared for another long day. Mira dressed quickly in her uniform, tightening the belt around her waist. Today, the schedule promised more than just physical training. There would be lessons in tactics, engineering, and the history of great commanders. As she walked down the corridor, she saw groups of cadets chatting and laughing. Some looked at her with curiosity. Others still whispered and snickered. But Mira held her head high. She had learned one important thing already. Strength came in many forms. In the first class, the instructor was a tall, silver-skinned alien named Professor Velen. His eyes shone like stars when he spoke about the art of command. "A true leader," he said, "knows how to use all resources wisely. Not just weapons or soldiers, but knowledge, patience, and creativity." Mira listened carefully. She loved these lessons. She asked questions about old battles where smaller forces had defeated larger armies. The other cadets mostly stayed silent or rolled their eyes. They still saw Mira as weak. But she did not mind. She was learning. Later during the day, the cadets were split into groups for a simulation exercise. Each group was given a scenario where they had to defend a small planet from an invading force. Mira's group was assigned to a team led by a large alien named Grak, who was known for his strength and direct approach. At first, Grak ignored Mira's ideas. He barked orders to the others and pushed for the most powerful weapons to be used. But the enemy's ships were too fast, and their numbers too many. The group struggled to keep control. Mira took a deep breath and raised her hand. "What if we use the environment to our advantage?" she suggested. "Instead of attacking head-on, we could lead the enemy ships into the asteroid field nearby. The rocks could slow them down and cause confusion." Grak frowned. "That sounds too risky. We need power, not tricks. But if we trap them there, we can pick them off one by one," Mira explained. "It's safer for our team, and we use less energy." The group fell silent. The instructor watching them nodded slightly, signaling that Mira's idea had merit. Reluctantly, Grak agreed to try the plan. As the simulation began, Mira's strategy worked better than anyone expected. The enemy ships became disorganized in the asteroid field, and her team was able to defend the planet with fewer losses. When the exercise ended, the instructor praised the group's success. Grak looked at Mira with a new respect. "Maybe you're not as fragile as you seem," he said quietly. That night, Mira returned to her room feeling proud. The small victories mattered. She was not just surviving, she was growing. The next day brought a new challenge: engineering lessons. Many cadets found this boring, but Mira loved it. She was fascinated by how ships and weapons were built, how every part worked together. She asked questions and helped classmates who struggled with the complex machines. One of the top engineers, a friendly alien named Tessa, noticed Mira's interest. "You have a good mind for this," she said. "With practice, you could be one of the best." Mira smiled. For the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere. But not everyone was kind. During a break, a group of cadets cornered her. "Why do you waste time on those gadgets?" one sneered. "You should focus on fighting if you want to be a real warrior." Mira stood her ground. "Brains and strength both matter," she said. "If we don't understand how things work, we can't win." The cadets looked surprised by her confidence and stepped back. As days passed, Mira's skills grew. She was still not the fastest or strongest, but her mind was sharp. She started helping her teammates solve problems during exercises. Slowly, some of the cadets who had mocked her began to listen. One evening, during a team meal, a young alien named Rin came to sit beside Mira. "Your ideas saved us in the last exercise," Rin said quietly. "I was wrong about you," Mira smiled. "Thank you. It means a lot." The small moments of friendship gave her hope. But the biggest test came when the instructors announced a new challenge, a solo mission simulation designed to test each cadet's leadership under pressure. The simulation would place them in an unknown environment, where they had to make quick decisions and adapt. Mira was nervous but ready. When her turn came, she entered the simulation chamber, a room filled with holographic stars and planets. A voice explained her mission: protect a small colony from a sudden storm of space debris while managing limited resources. At first, the simulation seemed impossible. The debris moved unpredictably, and the colony's defenses were weak. Mira took a deep breath and remembered what she had learned. She studied the patterns of the debris, watching for moments when the storm slowed. She sent repair teams to fix key parts of the colony's shield. She ordered small drones to create temporary barriers, buying time. The hours passed, and Mira worked steadily. She stayed calm and focused, thinking of new solutions when old ones failed. Finally, the simulation ended. When the doors opened, the instructors smiled. "You have great potential," Professor Velen said. "You showed patience and intelligence. You understand what it means to lead." Mira's heart swelled with pride. Back in the common room, some cadets nodded at her in approval. Others still looked doubtful, but now there was a new respect. Mira knew the road ahead was still long and hard. The universe was full of challenges, bigger than any simulation. But she had discovered something important. She did not have to be the strongest to be a leader. Her strength was in her mind and her courage to keep trying. That night, as she looked out at the stars from her window, Mira felt ready for whatever came next. The peaceful rhythm of life at the Apex Command Academy changed suddenly. One morning, as the cadets gathered for their usual briefing, alarms rang loudly through the station. Red lights flashed, and a deep voice announced an emergency. A hostile fleet had been detected moving toward the Galactic Alliance's border. The news spread quickly. The Academy's top leaders prepared for the worst. This was not a training exercise, it was a real threat. Mira stood among the cadets, her heart pounding. She had trained for moments like this, but now the danger felt very close and very real. The other cadets buzzed with nervous energy. Many whispered about the approaching enemy fleet, while others boasted they would crush it easily. The Apex Commander, the highest-ranking officer in the Alliance, arrived to give orders. The commander was a tall, powerful figure, known for unmatched strength and wisdom. When he looked at Mira, his eyes narrowed, doubt clearly written on his face. The other cadets noticed and smirked. "Only the best will lead our defense," the commander said firmly. "We must act quickly." As the leaders assigned roles, Mira waited, hoping for a chance to help. But no one offered her a position in the battle teams. The commander's eyes passed over her as if she was invisible. Feeling both frustrated and determined, Mira stepped forward. "Sir," she said clearly, "I want to volunteer for the defense mission. I am ready to serve." The room grew silent. The commander looked at her closely, then nodded slowly. "Very well, you may join, but be warned, this mission is dangerous. Many do not return." Mira's heart raced. She had earned her chance. The next hours were a blur of preparation. Mira was assigned to a small team led by Commander Drex, a veteran known for his toughness and quick decisions. The other team members eyed Mira with suspicion. Some whispered, "She's lucky to be here," while others doubted she could keep up. The fleet left the station, moving into the vastness of space. Mira stared out the window, feeling both small and powerful. The stars stretched endlessly before them. The enemy ships were fast and well-armed, But Mira remembered her training. Strength came in many forms. Commander Drex gave orders quickly, directing their ships to protect a critical space station near the border. The enemy attacked with waves of fast fighters, but Mira stayed calm. She watched patterns in the enemy's moves, noting their weaknesses. During the battle, a sudden problem arose. The station's shield was failing and repairs were slow. Commander Drex struggled to find a solution. Mira spoke up. "If we send the repair drones in pairs, they can cover each other better," she suggested. "Also, we can use the asteroid field nearby for cover. The enemy won't expect an attack from there." Drex looked doubtful, but agreed to try it. Mira's idea worked. The drones repaired the shield faster, and their fleet used the asteroids to hide from enemy scanners. The tide of battle began to turn. As the fight continued, Mira proved her value again and again. She remained calm under pressure, thinking quickly, and helping her team avoid danger. Her teammates started to respect her skills. The enemy fleet eventually retreated, unable to break through the Alliance's defenses. The victory was a surprise to many, especially those who had doubted the small human girl. Back at the station, the news spread fast. The Apex commander called a meeting to recognize the team's efforts. When Mira entered the room, all eyes were on her. The commander stepped forward. "Cadet Mira," he said, "you showed courage and intelligence in battle. You proved that strength is not just in muscle but in heart and mind. For this, I bow before you." Mira blinked in shock as the commander bent slightly in respect, a rare gesture that meant great honor. The room erupted in applause. Even those who mocked her before now looked at her with admiration. Later, Mira stood alone on the station's observation deck staring at the stars. She thought about the long journey ahead. The universe was vast and full of challenges, but she had taken her first real step as a leader. She smiled softly. They had mocked the fragile human girl, but now even the Apex commander bowed before her. After the surprise victory, the atmosphere at the Apex Command Academy changed. Whispers about Mira's clever ideas and courage spread through the halls. Some cadets who once ignored her now watched with new interest. But Mira knew the real test was still ahead. The instructors announced a special mission for the cadets who had proven themselves. It would be a series of complex simulations designed to test their ability to lead, plan, and adapt quickly. Success here could lead to real command positions in the future. Mira was assigned to a mixed team of cadets, including some who had once mocked her. Among them was Rek, the tall alien who had sneered at her early on. His sharp eyes watched her closely, filled with doubt and challenge. The first simulation began in a large training room filled with holographic projections of star systems, enemy fleets, and battle zones. The mission was clear: protect a vital space station from a powerful invading force. Mira studied the holograms carefully. The enemy ships were fast and well armed, but they followed predictable patterns. She suggested using small, fast ships to create distractions, drawing the enemy away from the station's core defenses. Rex scoffed. "Distraction won't win this fight. We need raw power." Mira shook her head. "Raw power alone will lose us the battle. We need to be smart. Use what we have wisely." The team argued but finally agreed to try her plan. As the simulation began, Mira took charge of the smaller ships, directing them to move quickly and confuse the enemy. The enemy fleet split their forces, chasing the decoys. Meanwhile, the main fleet held strong around the station. Suddenly, an unexpected problem appeared. The enemy launched a fast attack from an unusual direction, threatening to break through the defenses. Mira quickly adapted. She ordered some ships to regroup and form a protective shield. She used the station's defense turrets in a new way, targeting the attackers' weak points. Her calm and quick decisions kept the station safe. The simulation ended with a clear victory for Mira's team. The instructors nodded in approval. "Excellent work," one said. "You have shown that leadership is about more than strength. It is about thinking, adapting, and inspiring others." Rek looked at Mira with new respect. "I was wrong about you," he admitted quietly. Over the next days, the simulations became more difficult. Each time, Mira's team faced new challenges, limited resources, unexpected enemy tactics, and tight time limits. Mira led her team with patience and intelligence. She listened to everyone's ideas, encouraging those who were shy to speak up. Slowly, the team grew closer, working like a well-oiled machine. During one simulation, a young cadet named Jara made a mistake that could have cost them the mission. Instead of blaming her, Mira helped her understand what went wrong and how to fix it. "Leaders don't leave their team behind," Mira said kindly. "We learn and grow together." Jara smiled gratefully. The team's success made the other cadets take notice. Mira's reputation as a leader who combined brains with heart spread beyond her immediate group. One afternoon, as the sun set over the space station, Mira sat with her team in the common room. They talked and laughed, sharing stories and dreams. The walls no longer echoed with mockery but with friendship. Mira thought about how far she had come, from the fragile human girl no one believed in, to a respected commander in training. Yet she knew the future held even greater tests. The Apex. Commander announced a final challenge, a real-time, multi-team war game that would push all cadets to their limits. The results would decide who would lead future Alliance missions. Mira felt a mix of excitement and nerves. This was her chance to prove herself once and for all. That night, she reviewed her notes and strategies, preparing for what was to come. She looked out at the stars, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the fire of determination. No matter what happened, Mira was ready to face the challenge. She was no longer the fragile girl they had mocked. She was a commander. The day of the final challenge arrived with a bright dawn shining over the Apex Command Academy. The cadets gathered in the main training hall, buzzing with excitement and nervous energy. Today was not just another simulation. It was a multi-team war game designed to test every skill they had learned. Strategy, teamwork, quick thinking, and leadership would all be judged. Mira stood among the competitors, her heart steady and focused. The months of hard work had prepared her well. She glanced at the other teams, some filled with confident veterans, others with nervous newcomers. But Mira knew her own strength, her mind, and her will. The Apex commander entered the hall, his presence commanding silence. "Today you will lead your teams in a simulation that will test your abilities in ways no other exercise has before," he announced. "Remember, this is more than just a game. It is preparation for the real challenges that face our alliance." The teams were assigned their roles and given their mission: to defend a series of space stations from a simulated enemy fleet while also securing vital resources scattered throughout the sector. Mira's team quickly moved to their stations. As the simulation began, holographic enemy ships appeared, moving fast and attacking in waves. The pressure was intense. Mira stayed calm. She directed her team to use their smaller, faster ships to intercept and distract, while the heavier ships guarded the stations. When an enemy ship managed to break through, Mira quickly ordered a shield boost to protect the damaged areas. Her team worked like clockwork, each member trusting her decisions. The battle grew more complicated when an unexpected event occurred. A simulated space storm disrupted communication. Teams had to rely on quick thinking and pre-planned strategies. Mira's preparation paid off. Before the storm hit, she had ensured her team had clear roles and signals. Even without direct communication, her team adapted and worked together, seamlessly. As the hours passed, the enemy fleet weakened, and Mira's team secured the resources needed to strengthen their defenses. When the simulation ended, the instructors gathered the cadets for feedback. The Apex commander stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Mira. "Cadet Mira," he said, "your leadership has been exceptional. You remained calm under pressure, adapted quickly to unforeseen challenges, and led your team to success against difficult odds." He paused, then made a gesture that surprised everyone. The Apex commander bowed before Mira, a sign of the highest respect in their culture. The hall erupted in applause. Some cadets who had doubted Mira before looked on in awe. Mira felt a warmth inside her chest. This was more than recognition. It was a moment that changed everything. Later, in a private meeting, The commander spoke to Mira. You have shown that leadership is not about size or strength alone. It is about heart, mind, and the courage to act when it matters most. Mira nodded. Thank you, sir. I will continue to learn and serve. The commander smiled. I have no doubt you will. News of Mira's success spread quickly through the Alliance. Stories of the once fragile human girl who had earned the respect of the Apex commander inspired many. Humans and other smaller species found hope in her example. Back at the academy, Mira took on new responsibilities. She was given command of a special unit, diverse and talented cadets from many worlds who also believed in her leadership. Together they trained harder, learning from each other's strengths and covering each other's weaknesses. Mira's unit became known for its creativity, unity, and success. One evening, as Mira watched the stars from the Academy's observation deck, she thought about how far she had come. From the girl who was mocked for her size and species, she had become a symbol of hope and strength. But Mira knew the journey was not over. The universe was vast, full of unknown dangers and endless possibilities. She smiled softly, ready for whatever came next. The Galactic Alliance had changed. The halls of the Apex Command Academy were filled with a new energy, a sense of hope and pride that had not been there before. Mira's story had spread across planets and space stations. The fragile human girl who had arrived with doubt and mockery had become a beacon of strength and courage. Mira stood at the front of a large training room, speaking to a group of cadets. They listened carefully, eyes shining with respect. Many were human, but others came from distant worlds, small species who had once been overlooked, just like Mira. Now they saw a future where anyone, no matter their size or origin, could become a great leader. I know what it feels like to be underestimated, Mira said softly. But strength is more than muscle. It is in your heart, your mind, and your will to keep going. The cadets nodded. Some wiped away tears. Mira's words were more than encouragement. They were a promise. Outside the academy, the stars shone brightly. Ships of all kinds moved through the space lanes, carrying new hope and unity. The Alliance had grown stronger, learning to respect different strengths and ideas. Mira's unit was now responsible for training new commanders and leading important missions. They worked together, sharing knowledge and supporting each other. The barriers between species were breaking down, replaced by friendship and trust. One day, during a meeting with the Apex commander, Mira received exciting news. The Alliance had discovered a new threat on the edge of known space. This time, the challenge was even greater. The commander wanted Mira and her unit to lead the first mission to explore and protect the borders. Mira felt a mixture of excitement and responsibility. This was her chance to prove that the new era had truly begun. Before the mission, Mira gathered her team. We will face many unknowns, she said, but together we are strong. Our differences make us better, not weaker. The team smiled, ready for the journey ahead. As their ships left the space station, Mira looked out at the stars. She remembered the frightened girl who had arrived months ago, unsure and alone. Now she was a leader, respected by many. The universe was vast and full of challenges, but also full of hope. Mira's story was not just about one human girl. It was about the power of courage, kindness, and belief in oneself. The future was bright, and this was only the beginning.